I don't know if you know how to get it here. Let's
I see more and more people joining us.
okay. Okay.
Tamika, I'm assuming that means we're starting right at the stroke of noon and that I need to call it to order. If I'm picking this up correctly.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You can just. Well, thank you, everyone, who's here for our February and our second meeting of the Columbus Charter Review Commission. I first want to call this meeting to order, the February meeting, and begin with today's agenda. First, we have the roll call. So, Tamika, would you please handle that for us?
Yes, I will. Mike Baker.
Here.
Tyson Begley. Willie Belfield.
Here.
Vivian Bishop. Al. Pace Hall. Norman Hartman. Dominique Perkins. Roy Clark.
Tamika, I'm having a little difficulty hearing you.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, let me see if I can take my volume up some, maybe.
It's not a volume thing. It's more like the words are going in and out. Your volume's fine on my end.
Getting an echo.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to turn their mute button on if they're not talking.
Okay, that will help.
Okay, do I need to start over? Can you all?
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure. This is Gwen Ruff, and I'm not sure if you called my name or not, Tamika, because you're not coming through clear at all.
Can you hear me?
No, it's really bad. It's gotten a bit worse, Tamika, even with everybody muting themselves.
Okay, I'm not sure what the problem is, but Audrey, can you have the can you hear me?
I know you directed something to me, but it just went out at the end of your sentence. I have the agenda. I'm prepared to move forward. Can everybody hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Why don't
Forward.
beg your
Go
pardon?
ahead, Audrey.
Yeah, I'll move forward. And Tamika, you can always review the gallery to see those people that are here and not, if that works okay.
Okay.
Okay, we can move forward then with the agenda. And thanks again to everyone. We have the minutes that were distributed this week. So I'm assuming everyone has had a chance to review the minutes. And if they have, I'll take any suggestions or edits that are there. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second? And a second? Okay, all those in favor of approving those minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, so we have approved those minutes.
Can you all let me know who motioned and second?
I believe,
Motion was made by Chris Woodruff.
The second was Chris Whiteman.
Okay, thank you.
all right, so the very first thing that I wanted us to do, because there's been a flurry of activity as the working groups have begun, which is great, but there have been lots of questions about, what version of the charter review document that we are working with, were the edits from last time included in the document that we received last week. And I've been gathering more and more historical tidbits about this. Let me first get everybody who can to please mute themselves, because I'm hearing some feedback from somewhere. Oh, that's much better. Thank you. So there's been lots of discussions with the legal folks and Tamika and John Schenkel as prior chair and the mayor. And, one thing that's very clear to me is my recollection of 10 years ago is weaker than I thought it was. 10 years can do something to the memory. So what I wanted to do to just level set exactly what we're working with and where we are in terms of the documents we're reviewing is to have legal, Clifton Fay's office. Clifton is not able to be here. His uncle's virtual funeral service is at the very same time as this meeting. So Lucy Sheftal is here, and we are in very capable hands as she walks us through, just at a high level, where we are in terms of the documents, what was included, what went on the ballot, and what we are working with in terms of the document that we'll be reviewing. So Lucy, if you could, please.
Certainly. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me start and explain that the charter you all have in your materials was a charter that the Clerk of Council's office prepared and first published as of January 1, 2016. And that document actually includes more than just the changes that were recommended by the last Charter Review Commission in 2011 and passed by the voters in 2012. There were 2 acts of the General Assembly, which one of which just incorporated the stylistic or grammatical changes that members of the commission had pointed out, but were just too detailed to put on the ballot. Like, for instance, more properly identifying what the local legal newspaper was and things like that. So that was passed by the General Assembly in 2013 and became part of this version of the charter you have. In addition, changes were requested by the city to the Personnel Review Board provision of the charter, and that was also taken care of by the General Assembly. So what you have before you now is the absolute up-to-date current version of the charter that includes all changes that were approved by any source. I sent out an email late yesterday just so you would have the materials on those other 2 acts of the General Assembly in front of you, and that this same brief summary. And if there are more detailed questions, we can get into that. One item I might mention that has been the subject of some question is in 2011, one of the subcommittees did consider the $500 service fee being added. That was actually in the recommendation that was brought for public hearing, but it was not in the final approved recommendations of the commission, and therefore it was not on the ballot. Everything else the commission recommended that wasn't deemed just a stylistic change to be adopted by the General Assembly did go on the ballot and was adopted by the voters in November of 2012. So with that, I'm happy to take questions, address particular concerns. I will mute so that there won't be an echo.
So Lucy, for the, at 50,000 feet, we are all to be comfortable that the version that we were handed out in person at the meeting last month is the most current, accurate version from which we use to have our discussions in the working groups, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. That's what I wanted us to know and understand. Now, there might be historical things. I mean, I was a part of the working group that tossed around the service fee. And I remember those discussions, and I believe I remember why it was not moved forward. But suffice it to say that where we sit with this document is where we all need to begin our discussions about our review of the charter. Any questions for Lucy? Anything historical or any concerns or issues with respect to the document that we will begin to review? Okay, doesn't seem so. So Lucy, thank you. I know you're standing by, but thank you for clarifying those issues that, you know, we just, those of us who did it the last time just couldn't seem to remember. I appreciate your input here.
You're welcome. Look forward to working on this round.
All right, very good. So the next thing on the agenda is our working groups, and we will have them report in order, beginning with the first working group. And one of the things that I wanted to say, because I've gotten a couple of emails from people, you know, are we able to consider this? Are we able to consider that? There's nothing that we can't consider. And it's wide open. And I hope there are great ideas and things that are far reaching, because this is going to have to last us the next 10 years. So not just issues for today, but issues that may come up tomorrow or within the next 10 years, we need to be discussing and working on and suggesting. So lest anybody think that there are things that are off limits with respect to what's in this charter, I don't believe that's the case. That's why we're reviewing it. That's why we'll have the lively discussion. That's why we'll have the public hearing. So just want to encourage people to continue to think big and think forward. Think what will be needed, you know, in 10 years from now. So with that, I'd love to begin allowing the working groups to report out. I know it's early in the process, but for those who have met and have things to share, please move forward with working group number 1.
Sure, I can handle that. So we're covering Article 1, 2, and Article 7. Article 1 and 2, they're focused on the creation of the city government as well as the power and duties. Our Article 7 is mainly focused on financial and revenue administration. We really didn't touch that in the first meeting. We're going to review it in depth and discuss further in the next meeting. So this first meeting, we focused on Article 1 and Article 2. Like I said, it focused on the creation of the city government. A lot of the powers are coming from the state of Georgia. We did ask a few questions. I think we reached out to Clifton and Lucy. Durst had some of the language about service districts. We also reached out to Tamika to get some additional attachments from the last charter review. Then also reached out to Angelica and Pam to get some details around millage rates, the different tax districts, and any differences between those tax districts. So right now we're really, like I said, focused on Article 1 and 2, getting some more information about those, and starting our own personal review of Article 7 so that we can discuss further at our next meeting.
Very good. Any other input from other members or any questions for the work that is just commencing in our working group number 1? If not, we will go to working group number 2. And for those who are just joining us, I want to remind everybody to please mute yourself unless you're speaking, so it'll cut down on the background noise. All right, number 2. And please, I love what Tyson did, just for the record, explaining the different articles that the working group is focused on. That's very helpful. Is anybody here from working group number 2?
This is Gwen Ruff. We have Alton Russell here. I see he's muted. Alton, are you able to report for the group?
Yes, I can. Are we group 2 or are we article 3? We group 2? But yes, I'm ready to make a little report. Thank you. What we did was, first, we were really glad to get together, and we did meet on a go-to meeting that Gwen set up for us, and we all appreciated that, and everybody was in attendance. Our first discussion was about some things that we had kind of looked at individually, and one was the 3-100. We had some discussion about whether we should think about or go forward with a suggestion about term limits for the council. We didn't come up with any solution. That's just one of the things that we are considering and intend to go further with further discussion with each other, and also do some checking around the community. Next, we had a little discussion about 3-103, which was the twice a month meetings of the council. We felt that was kind of limited, and maybe that was what was causing these council meetings to last 4 or 5 hours, because I know we had somebody tell us that they had gone to a meeting that was not over till real late in the afternoon, and maybe if they met quicker and sooner and more often during the month, that might help in that situation some. The other thing we talked about was 3-206, which is talks about publishing ordinances with a $99 fee. We kind of thought that was a real dated part of the charter, and we cannot see where it was done any changes in 20 years. So we're talking to a city attorney about that and making sure that we understand what it means, and before we go any further with that. We also had some discussion about 3-301, which was we asked the city attorney for the meaning of that. That was when and if the council goes into an executive session, and what does that mean, and who is required, and does it require the 6 votes to do that? And Clifton made that clear for us, that usually when they decide to go into executive session, it's because they all agree, but officially it does take 6 votes, and Clifton was very helpful on that situation. The other thing that we talked about, and we could not find it in this charter, and we don't want to overstep our responsibility, but we had, this charter gives duties and requirements and a whole bunch of other stuff for the city manager, the city attorney, all of the executive branch, including the mayor. But nowhere can we find any kind of reference to the duties of the council members themselves. Now, there is a section about the power of the council, but way we see that is that's dealing with the council and the powers as a city government council, which was after we consolidated it and created the city council of the consolidated government. So we would like to make sure that we're not stepping on anybody's toes, and if that would come under our section, which is legislative branch, and we do have some stuff in there about qualifications of the council and elections and compensation expenses and organization of the council and the powers of the council, but nowhere can we find duties of the council members. So we would like to be able to pursue that if there's no objection and nobody else is working on that. And that's about all that we did. And we did have some good discussion about all of these things, and we're definitely not ready to make any kind of a suggestion to the full commission, but this is just a report of what we did. We had some good discussion. We have a great group, and we're encouraged about how we're committed to move forward with whatever will be the best for the city.
It's very good. Thank you, Alton. That was great work, great progress. I've just been looking through the documents myself, and just with a really quick review, I don't see any other place that discusses, the council outside of the article that you all are talking about. So if it is a suggestion, or if you guys go down that path to come up with some qualifications at first glance, and Lucy, I could definitely be wrong. If that were suggested, I would think it would be in your area.
Okay, well, what we were thinking is that we agree with you. We could not find anything about duties or specific responsibilities for the council members, and that's what we would like to pursue. So I appreciate that, and we will put that on our little agenda and see what we can come up with. We may not come up with anything, but
Exactly, yeah, but explore it.
well, I will tell you.
That's what we're here for.
Well, I will tell you that all of our members of our group, except for me, of course, are all pretty weird, but they do have a lot of different things to think about. So we're on the ball. We're trying to be.
All right, very good. Thank you so much. I think we're on group number 3 now. If working group number 3.
That is correct. Hi, everyone. I am in Hartman. I am leading our group 3. We're covering Article 4. Just to mention our group members, Julio Portillo, John Schenkel, Chris Whiteman, and Melvin Tanner. And we've already had a great meeting, and we are covering the executive powers of the charter, of course. That includes the mayor, council, boards, commissions, and the authorities. So perhaps there's some work you mentioned about council and those particular powers, that there may be some overlap there. Of those different things mentioned, we think that it's most important to focus on those boards, commissions, and authorities. So we've already reached out to Clifton and to Lucy as well. We've got them on our calendar for next month to walk us through those particular areas and how they're governed, because we know a lot of them are governed by multiple bodies, state by state law, and of course the charter itself and particular bylaws. So before we reach out to get information on maybe recommendations from people who are already in these particular areas, that will be our first order of business. But the majority of our time and focus will be spent in those particular areas. So that is our report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Norman. Very good. All right, I think we're on number 4 now. Working group number 4.
Audrey, this is Judge Ben Richardson. I don't see Allison on the line, so I'll go ahead and do a brief report on group 4. We have myself, Allison Dow, Pastor Jimmy Elder, Carter Shondemeyer, and John Stacy. And we're covering Article 5, which is the judicial branch, and Article 8 is just general provisions. And so right now, Allison volunteered to be our subcommittee chairperson, and we've got a meeting scheduled February 22nd or February 24th of next week. Right now, we're just doing a personal review, going over the information in the charter. But we want to reach out to the specific chief judge of every judicial branch, every courts that we have in Columbus, because it basically covers like general courts and everything. See if they want to have anything added, or there any issues or concerns. So we're in the gathering information stage right now. And then Article 8, general provisions, That involves other elected officials like the sheriff, the tax commissioner, and we're gonna do the same thing with that. And also probably the chairman of the personnel review board, see if any changes need to be made. So right now we're in the gathering information stage, but we do plan on meeting personally next week to discuss specifically how we want to handle that and how we're going to assign certain people to take care of that. And if anybody else, I know Carter's on the line, Pastor Jimmy Elder's on the line. If they want to add anything, please feel free.
Yeah, no, Judge, I think you've covered it well. I think I've got a few issues, I guess, that were probably pending from some litigation in the past with the city that we can focus on as well, and see if any changes need to be made, and we can discuss that in our group. But we're in the preliminary stages, so we'll be sure to bring more to the group next time.
Very good. You're right where you're supposed to be at the commencement of all of this. All right, and next working group. I'm off on my numbers. I'm not writing this down. So that are we up to number 5 yet?
Yes, should be.
Working group number 5. Did I skip anybody? Did I skip 4? I'm sorry. I should have written all this on my agenda. I'm just kind of winging it.
No, you're correct. We're on group 5.
Okay. Is anyone from number 5? No.
Audrey, I'm looking. I'm in committee 5, and I believe some of the other members are here too. I wouldn't be qualified to speak on if we've had a meeting or not yet. That was that last meeting's when I had COVID, so I wasn't able to attend anything yet.
Okay. Well, are there any members from number 5, or are we trying to gather for our February meeting in number 5?
I think we will be trying to gather for our February meeting, Audrey. I think we don't have anything to report.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right.
Madam Chairman, may I ask a question?
Please. Yes.
Who was it that was talking on that committee 3 on their report that was after us? I didn't hear who that was, and I want to make sure that we are
That's myself.
Norman.
Yeah, that was Norman Hartman.
All right. Well, I'm gonna try to reach out to him and make sure that we're on the same page about that duties to make sure we don't overlap. But that's okay, Norman. Is that okay with you?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Very good. And on that note, well, first of all, is there any more reporting, questions, or anything with respect to the work of the working groups?
Audrey, I have a question.
Yes.
Previously, if you remember last year, 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
When we met, we kind of had an idea of what the schedule of the other groups were. If there was another group that had a concern that maybe you wanted to attend or you thought you could contribute, we kind of had those meeting schedules. I don't know if we've posted those or if we know those in advance. And do we have a way to contact other members of the commission with their preferred contact method?
Great questions. The first question was going to be how I lead off in terms of next steps. Because one thing that we did talk about, Brad, when we had the in-person kickoff, was that we wanted any member of the commission to be able to sit in and give input if they desire with any of the other working groups. It's certainly not just restricted to your assigned working group. And I know that lots of groups were just getting their, trying to get their schedules together and all that. There was a lot of information and reply all and all that as people tried to get their groups together. But I was going to reiterate that Tamika is our designated assistant from the city's standpoint, and she is the one that's sending out communication, even from me. I give it to her and then she sends it out. So as these groups set their dates and their times, and if it's via Zoom or in person, if you'd let her know so that she can keep a running list, for example, for March. These are the working group meetings for March, and allow the rest of us to know where they are. Because again, I'd love to. My intention is to make as many of them as chair as I possibly can. but I need that master list of when people are going to meet. And also, if I could put in a plug here, because we do have the craziest schedules, even in pandemic, it would be amazing if the working groups could come up with a standing meeting. Like we meet on the first Monday of every month at 10 o'clock or whatever that time is. That would be really helpful and ideal if possible, so that we can lock those meetings in. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I'd certainly like to see us go there. And I'm sure other people would be appreciative of that as well. So I hope that answers your first question, Brad. And the second one is we all received a hard copy of the charter review last month. And in it has all of the communication, home phone, cell phone, email, and all of that of all the members. So we need to get that to you so that you can have it, because we all had the opportunity to look at it to see if there was anything that needed to be edited. And I'm not sure, I know my information was correct. But I also gave out, and let me do it again because I know we've got some people who were not at the first meeting. My cell phone, if you need to reach me via cell, the number listed is my home and my office where I'm not at. But my cell is 706-464-6315. So feel free to reach out to me directly, and certainly via email, which is included in here. So that was a big thing that I wanted to discuss in terms of next steps. I obviously want to encourage everybody who hasn't met yet to go ahead and meet in February, if at all possible, but certainly have your monthly working group meetings prior to our meeting that of the entire commission. Any questions from anyone with respect to, the charge of the working groups, the cadence by which we should be meeting and the reporting out? I mean, it really goes like this, like we've experienced for the last 30 minutes, just reporting in on the work and the progress. And at some point, each working group will have things that they're going to be agreeing to recommend to be considered for inclusion or exclusion of the charter. But the first couple of months or so is just reporting gradual progress, and so we're right on course.
Madam Chair, this is Skip Henderson. If I may make one
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
suggestion. Again, I'll say thank you to all of you for participating in this critical work for our community. I know there's going to be a lot of questions as you flesh through this document. And my recommendation would be that our department heads and our personnel are at your service to try to help provide any answers or resources. But to make things simpler for the commissioners, I think it might be easier if they forward any questions or requests to Tamika, and she'll know who to get them to, so that you'll get the correct answer quicker. And that way we can keep track of any information that needs to be gathered and make sure that you guys get it.
Very good. Yes, Tamika's been great about that, being my single source for communication. And I absolutely would support what the mayor is saying, that getting your questions or just information that you want disseminated to the group, she is the person to reach out to. So if there's nothing else, no confusion about where we sit or what our charge is going forward, I put on their next month's meeting date. We agreed at the in-person meeting that because we were really in the throes of the virus at that point in January, that we would meet via Zoom or via electronic meeting for February and for March. So the March meeting is electronic as well. At that time, it will be my plan to open it up for discussion in terms of how we move forward with the actual charter commission meetings. How the working groups want to meet is completely up to the working groups. You decide that, and you just let us know how you're going to meet, and we'll be there or we won't be there, but it's up to your group. But the actual charter commission, where all of us meet, we'll be talking about next month what it looks like in our level of comfort either moving forward in person or continuing for another month or two digitally. So, but that is the time. Now, Clifton called me last night and he asked me to bring something to the group, a request from he and from Lucy with respect to the times that we meet. We agreed that the third Thursday is good for everybody. And we also agree, I think we made an adjustment for someone who wanted to start the meeting at noon. We agreed that that would work. But apparently the third Thursday at noon is a direct conflict with the Columbus Bar that Clifton is very involved with. And he asked, might we consider moving our meeting back in the day, like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, anything like that, but still remaining on the third Thursday. So what's your pleasure? 12 o'clock works for me, but this far in advance, I can really make anything work. But I told Clifton that I would put that out there as a request. And I want to know what the thoughts of the commission is.
Audrey, this is Dominic Perkins. I did want to mention Ms. Bishop is listening in through my phone, so she's in attendance. She was having a little trouble logging in, but I would actually prefer. I think a little bit later in the day would actually work a little bit better for me versus doing it during lunchtime. So I'm fine with moving it up a little bit if we need to.
Okay, so Dominique, did you have a suggestion that you wanted to throw out there about time to start?
2 would work for me.
2 o'clock?
Madam Chair, this is Gwen
Yes.
Ruff. If that is a motion, then if it's appropriate, I second the motion. If you want to, after that, open it up for discussion.
Okay, is that a motion, Dominique?
Sure, yes.
Okay, we got a motion and got it second. Are there any questions or discussion about the motion to move our monthly meetings from noon to 2 o'clock?
I see Ken Henson has his hand raised.
Who? Okay.
Ken Henson.
Okay, please, Ken.
2 o'clock is fine. I have something that is at 3:30, so this is fine.
Okay. All right. Well, any other discussion? Are we ready for a vote?
Vote.
Okay. Okay, so all those in favor of the motion of moving the meeting till 2, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, very good. So thank you all for that. Clifton will be very happy with our concession for him.
Yes, let me add my thanks on behalf of Clifton and all the other lawyers. Hopefully it'll make our schedules a little easier.
Very good. We want to keep the lawyers happy. All right. So that was all the agenda items that I had. Didn't know if anybody else had any housekeeping items or any questions, anything that they wanted to add for the good of the order. If not, what we will do is just look forward to receiving from Tamika those times for the working groups so that any of us who desire to go will be able to go. And we will meet together virtually in March on the 3rd Thursday. All right, so we're going to, was that somebody?
I just said I move, we adjourn.
There you go. I concur. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you all so much. Thank you for your great work.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Thank you, Audrey.